I refuse to sit here and act like it's okay. It ain't the same thing as a job. If I own a store.
You hustle in high school. You dominate in college. You show everyone you belong. And if the stars align, you hear your name called on draft night. That's the contract. That's the tradition. That's the foundation of the league. But what happens when the biggest icon of the generation shifts the paradigm? Suddenly, it feels like the rules don't apply to his bloodline. Welcome to the Bronny James controversy.
Bronny's not right, and he proved this year he's ready. He's not ready for the NBA. He's a marginal player at best. I refuse to sit here and act like it's okay. It ain't the same thing as a job. If I own a store or I own something, that you people hire people all the time. It still ain't right. I just said that from the jump.
Okay.
Nepotism ain't right.
Okay.
It's a disgrace. Anybody who's ever played sports and had to compete for a spot, for a guy to put their kid on it, it happens all the time, and it's wrong. It's wrong in Little League. It's wrong in high school. It's wrong in college, and it's wrong.
This is about integrity, about history, about whether LeBron James is receiving a pass that no other athlete would ever get. Parker was clear. Nepotism is trash, and he hasn't backed down an inch. Now, let's peel back another layer. Early June 2025, Danny Ainge, the CEO of the Utah Jazz, appoints his son, Austin Ainge, as the president of basketball operations. That means the guy calling the shots in Utah answers to his dad. And here's the detail everyone is whispering about. Every major gig Austin has landed was under his father's umbrella.
I own something that you people hire people all the time. It still ain't right. I just said that from the jump.
Okay.
Nepotism ain't right.
The guy put in 17 years with the Boston Celtics. He started from the bottom as a G League coach back in 2009, moved to scouting, worked up to player personnel, and spent the last 6 years as assistant GM.
News broke out of Utah that Danny Ainge, the CEO of the Utah Jazz, has hired his son, Austin Ainge, to be the new president of basketball ops. Now, you think that might be a coincidence, except every major basketball-related job that Austin Ainge has ever had in his career has been with his father. So, guys, here's the question. Why is it that Bronny James is the poster child for nepotism, while Austin Ainge seems to fly under the radar?
But Rob Parker isn't letting the optics slide. Austin got his foot in the door because his dad ran the Celtics. Now he's linking up with him again in Utah. Yeah, the resume looks legit, but the optics, they look terrible. That's where Parker draws the line. And now it gets uncomfortable. Why is the outrage so much louder for one than the other? Is it because one is sweating on the hardwood and the other is in an air-conditioned office? Is it because LeBron is a bigger lightning rod than anyone else? Or is there something fundamentally different about taking the court?
To get on the field, the reason that this country is 70% white and the NBA 75% black is because you have to earn your way onto the field.
Parker is doubling down on the idea that sports are a sanctuary. This isn't Wall Street. This isn't Hollywood. This isn't an industry where who you know trumps what you can do. Sports are supposed to be the ultimate meritocracy. It's about performance and undeniable talent. That's the crux of his argument. When you start bending the rules for family, you crack the foundation.
Oh, it's a disservice to everybody who puts on a uniform, who has to compete. Michael Jordan owned a damn team. He didn't put his two sons on the team. He could have. Jerry Jones owns the Dallas Cowboys. He could have put his team, his sons on the team and said, what does it matter? They're only the last guys on the end of the bench. People would be outraged.
Just picture the scene. Imagine MJ drafting Marcus and Jeffrey to the Hornets while he was the owner. Sports talk radio would have gone nuclear. Twitter would have melted down overnight. Every headline, every debate show would be screaming about it. But when LeBron paves the way for his son, half the basketball world just shrugs and says, relax.
It happens all the time. It happens with coaches. It happens with guys who are behind staffers, in the executive offices. It happens with lawyers. It happens with so many people. That's just part of life, literally.
Rob Parker cares, and he's calling it like he sees it. Now, to be fair, let's look at the other side. The counter-argument is that nepotism is as American as apple pie. Your dad knows a guy, suddenly you have a summer internship. Your mom went to college with the CEO, suddenly a door opens. That's how the world turns.
I refuse to sit here and act like it's okay. It ain't the same thing as a job. If I own a store or I own something, That you people hire people all the time. It still ain't right. I just said that from the jump.
Okay.
Nepotism.
Your network is your net worth. We've all heard the slogan. But this is where Rob Parker plants his flag, and it's a hard truth that makes people squirm. He's saying sports are different. When you're fighting for a roster spot, your surname shouldn't matter. Your connection shouldn't buy you playing time. The only thing that should matter is the game.
Can't name me another player in that draft outside of one or two players. The draft was not good. There were not great players, and especially in the second round with a bunch of guys who we will never hear from again.
He thinks nepotism is wrong everywhere. But in sports, it hits different. You're messing with the competitive integrity of the game. You're eroding the respect the sport is built on. The biggest defense for the Bronny pick goes like this. Come on, it's pick 55. Second rounders rarely make it anyway. What's the harm? And sure, there's some validity to that.
But the idea that LeBron James, what he's meant to the league, what he means currently even to the league, would not help his son get drafted, to me was crazy.
Most times you bust. But here's the pushback. Just because late picks usually fail doesn't mean you waste one on a family favor. There are undrafted guys who have been grinding in gyms for years just waiting for a look. International talents fighting to get a visa and a tryout. That kind of gatekeeping is what held minorities back for decades.
That's what stopped black people from getting jobs forever. We could never get into places
Right.
because people were hiring their cousins
Right.
and their friends.
Right.
I'm talking from
And you're telling me Bronny James, who averaged 4.8 points at USC and looked like he was struggling to keep up, deserved that spot over all of them? That's where the logic breaks down for the critics. Let's call a spade a spade. LeBron James is an all-time great. He's generated billions for the NBA.
And Bronny's not right, and he proved this year he's ready? He's not ready for the NBA. He's a marginal player at best.
When a legend of that magnitude declares, I want to share the court with my boy before I hang it up, franchises pay attention. Let's be real, Los Angeles didn't pick up Bronny because they thought they'd found the next elite point guard. They made that move because a satisfied LeBron guarantees a LeBron who stays in LA. It is pure strategy. It is the business side of the game. It is leverage being flexed. You might not like the optics, but that is how it works.
It ain't right.
If you want to go
And it ain't right with LeBron and Bronny.
Okay.
It ain't right with Danny Ainge and his kid.
However, Rob Parker asks a question that cuts much deeper. Just because you have the muscle to game the system, are you obligated to do so? If we start lowering the bar for the elite, where do we eventually draw the line? What happens when the next face of the league demands a roster spot for a buddy who isn't up to scratch? Do we just keep engaging in a race to the bottom? Parker offers a hard no, and he is willing to die on that hill alone. This is where the conversation gets sticky. He brings up a topic most folks would prefer to sweep under the rug. He contends that nepotism has historically served as a massive wall keeping Black Americans out of power positions. That is a heavy claim. For decades, the Old Boys Club acted as the ultimate gatekeeper. Careers were handed down through bloodlines, country clubs, and fraternity brothers. If you were outside that inner circle, the door stayed shut. That history is undeniable. So, watching LeBron leverage his clout to get his son a jersey sets off alarm bells for Parker. He sees the very tools used to exclude black people now being wielded by the biggest black icon in sports. That is his take. You might not sign off on it, but you cannot act like the discussion is irrelevant. Favoritism doesn't exist in a vacuum. It eats away at actual opportunities. It hurts those lacking the right last name. Now, let's look at the tape. What has Bronny James actually produced? He clocked in for 27 games during the 2024 to 2025 season. The stat line shows 2.3 points per game. He shot 31.3% from the floor and 28.1% from deep. Those aren't Rookie of the Year figures. They are project numbers. Parker pulls no punches. The kid isn't league ready. Halfway through the 2025 to 2026 campaign, the needle hasn't moved. He is putting up 1.7 points on 37.2% shooting. He bounces between the main roster and the developmental squad so much it is basically his commute. Stating that isn't hate, it is reading the box score. Bronny is a 6'2" guard who hustles on defense but is still searching for his offensive identity. He lacks elite burst. He isn't a sniper from range. He isn't a floor general. In any other scenario, this player spends the whole year developing in the minors. To be fair, his road here was rocky. The kid suffered a cardiac arrest in college. That is terrifying. That changes a person. It disrupts growth in ways the cameras don't catch, and it demands patience. But looking strictly at the product on the floor, there is zero evidence he is ready for the big show today. When a Western Conference exec forecasts 10 to 15 minutes a night for him next year, skeptics smell strings being pulled. They view it as a retirement gift for his dad. Then Parker drops a comparison that really lands. He points to Michael Jordan, the ultimate assassin on the court, and the guy who actually owned the Charlotte franchise. MJ had the authority to put his sons, Marcus and Jeffrey, on the payroll. He refused. Both played decent college ball at places like UCF and Illinois. Neither was projected to make the league, and Jordan didn't try to rewrite reality for them. Parker calls that integrity. That is the standard. And this is where it gets spicy. LeBron has spent 2 decades chasing Jordan's ghost, the rings, the legacy, the impact. But when it comes to separating family from the roster, Parker argues LeBron doesn't measure up. That is the accusation on the table. So, what is the bottom line? Bronny wears purple and gold. That is a fact. He is in year 2, still shuffling between the pros and the developmental league. Front office types think he might eventually crack the rotation. Meanwhile, Austin Ainge has been calling the shots for the Utah Jazz since June 2025. That is also a done deal. The friends and family plan isn't going anywhere in sports. It makes money and it is convenient. Fans rarely make enough noise to stop it. Maybe they should, though, because every slot given to a lucky son steals a dream from a more deserving player. Think about the guy who grinded for years, hit every showcase, and played in dingy overseas gyms just to get a look. The guy who sacrificed it all? He might never get his phone call. Is that justice? Parker says hell no. Even if you think he is being harsh, you can't ignore the fundamental question he is asking. We are told sports are the ultimate meritocracy. You eat what you kill. But maybe that concept was always just a fairy tale. Perhaps the NBA, just like corporate America, bows to power, handshakes, and leverage. If so, we need to stop pretending it is a pure competition. We need to stop lying to young hoopers that sweat equity is the only golden ticket. In the modern league, your DNA might matter just as much as your jumper. That is the ugly truth Rob Parker just threw in the basketball world's face. If this analysis resonated with you, smash that like button and subscribe for more unfiltered talk. Sound off in the comments. I want to know whose side you are on. Catch you in the next one.